And then the kickoff. The referee is Dick Hantak. So we'll tune into his microphone, and you'll know as soon as everybody does.
He's in
Los Angeles, as visitors, it will be your choice again. Same coin, heads, tails, call it in the air. You calling? Heads. It is a tail. Denver, you won the toss.
Why do you think Denver will play defense here in overtime and give him the ball?
No, I don't think so. I think John Elway wants the ball.
He's a dangerous man to kick off to in overtime. We're tied, 27 all. Let's pause for this word.
It's a pathway that leads from here to tomorrow, from sea to shining sea. The great American road belongs to you.
Banks have been in the new goal. 45 yards to tie this game. We'll kick it off. Ken Bell is deep, along with Ricky Nattil, and he is the more dangerous of the two back there.
And again, if you're a Bronco fan, you're thinking about Rich Carlos, field goal kicking. His long this year is 51 yards, so you just have to be thinking about getting him in a position to kick that kind of field goal.
Elway, when he comes on, is 13 out of 23. Here's the kick by Barr. It is deep and sails into the end zone, and Bell will down it there. It'll come out to the 20-yard line. And the Broncos start from the 20. Schrader, in case he doesn't get back on the field, 12 out of 31, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, both to Steve Smith and 1 interception. Elway, 13 out of 23, 213 yards, 1 TD, 3 interceptions. He's been sacked only 1 time tonight by the Raiders.
What Elway likes to do is throw crossing routes to his speedy wide receivers so they catch the ball on the move. They can break a tackle for a big play.
Johnson to the right, Nattil to the left. Under center is Elway. He has that breakaway backdoor set. He fumbles a snap and recovers it and loses a yard or 2. That's no way to start overtime. On a fumbled snap from center, he pulled out a little too quickly.
This is a real gut check for John Elway. I think one of the most difficult things of playing quarterback in the NFL is just having mental toughness, particularly when things are not going well, as they're not for John tonight. He's got to find a way somehow to use his considerable talents to get the ball accurately to one of his wide receivers.
Second and 11. We'll see what this play call is. Going from our right to our left, he starts Johnson in motion, is back to throw. Rolls right, sets up shop, runs with the ball, continues to run, needs a block, and is tackled back at the 16-yard line. He was tackled by Stacy Turan, and the offensive player in front of him picked the wrong man to block.
And it was great pass defense by the Raiders that really caused that play, as Elway rolled all the way to his right, could not find anybody open, and he had about 6 seconds to throw the ball, scrambled to his left, still couldn't find anybody open, and then ultimately got the sack.
3rd and 14. We played a minute of overtime. From the Denver 16-yard line, Elway lines up in the shotgun. They show the blitz. The Raiders have a 4-man rush, and Elway steps up, looks and throws, and it's knocked down and almost picked off. It was right in the arms of Mike Haynes. And now the Broncos have lost the advantage, and they'll have to punt.
I'm not sure how Mike Haynes dropped that ball, because it looked like it was sticking to his hand, and he dropped it. Elway never even saw Haynes as he tried to throw the ball over the middle. He was trying to get the ball to Rick Massey on a crossing route. He was double covered.
Was a little bit behind him, and that's the one thing that kept Haynes from intercepting. And now Horan, who's been punting beautifully all night, needs another. He kicks it away, and it's a dandy. And it is taken on the 38. The return is to the 35. And trying to get back to the 40, 45, midfield. Out of bounds goes Tim Brown. Brown should have been tackled way back at about his 35. Instead, he's at the 50.
He made a 15-yard punt return out of nothing. It was remarkable. He broke 2 tackles going to his right, set the defense up beautifully as it looked like he was going to go wide right, and then planted on that right foot, cut back in, and picked up another 6 or 7 yards.
And so the Raiders get a crack at the ball here in overtime. They start from their 49, tied 27 all. Under center, Schrader with Lofton to the left and Galt to the right. There's the snap and the give to Marcus Allen, and Allen is good inside the 45 to the 44. And he picked up about 7 yards. Let's pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS Radio Network.
This Saturday, the Texas Longhorn football team travels to Houston to take on the Rice Owls. Our coverage will start at 3 o'clock. Longhorn football comes exclusively here on News Talk 590 KLBJ AM Austin.
Trying to pick up the first down. They're at the 44 of the Broncos. You have Smith and Allen in the backfield. Galt and Lofton, the wide receivers. Here's a give to Allen, and he stopped at the 45. He lost a yard. He lost a yard.
Very good penetration by the nose guard, Greg Cragen, and also Freddie Gilbert, number 90, from the outside. And there's nowhere for Marcus Allen to go.
Detroit beat Cleveland. The Yankees beat Baltimore. Toronto beat the Red Sox. Dodgers are tied 2-2 after 5 at San Diego as the Dodgers try to clinch. Magic number remains the same, 3 for Boston. Here is a 3rd down and 3 play. Schrader under center. He's going to throw. Needs 3 yards. Drops it short, incomplete. Through the hands of Christensen. 4th down. Now, do you punt the ball or do you gamble? They're going to punt. It was Kevin Guidry who was called earlier for interference covering on that play to Christensen.
And he was called earlier on interference against Christensen. That time he covered him very well as Christensen lined up on the left and tried to run a little 10-yard out route. But Guidry was all over Christensen, knocked the ball away.
Gossett will do the punting for the Raiders. He punches it high, and they're downfield covering. The ball is fielded on about the 14-yard line of the Broncos. And Denver will go from there. Well, it's not very often you get 2 tries at the ball in overtime.
Yeah, particularly with the field position that the Raiders had. They had a wonderful opportunity to put something on the board, but Denver's defense did its job and gives Elway another chance.
That was a 31-yard punt, that's all Gossett wanted to the Denver 14-yard line. It's conceivable this game, could still end up tied if they play the 15 minutes and nobody scores. Safety, a field goal, or a touchdown. It would remain a tie. The Broncos are at their 14th. Natil comes to the left. Mobley lines up on the left side. Clarence Kay on the right side. 2 tight ends. Dorsett the tailback. Here's a toss to Dorsett running right. Goes outside, turns the corner a bit, and he's out of bounds at the 20. He got 6. Now that's going to put Dorsett ahead of Jim Brown in his all-time rushing record. He is number 2 on the all-time list behind Walter Payton. As he went to 101 yards, 26 carries.
And they've been tough yards. He's run outside, though, with pretty good effectiveness, and really picked up some very tough yards from tackle to tackle. That's a sign of a very good back.
Dorsett went to the 20, and it's 2nd and 4. We're tied 27 all in overtime. Elway starts Sewell in motion, gives the ball to Dorsett again, picks away over the left side, out near the 22-yard line, short of a 1st down, tackled by Rod Martin.
Now a very important 3rd down for Denver. Remember the earlier shovel pass, Jack, that we both liked? It was a big play to Steve Sewell. This is the right time of the game to call it in this circumstance.
The ball at the 22 of the Broncos, 3rd and 2. Let's see how Elway tries to get 2 yards. He's going to throw. Short drop, quick pass, and it's caught. Clutch catch by Johnson. Vance Johnson had to stretch out and catch it at the 27-yard line for a first down. That's his 7th reception.
On 3rd and 2, Vance Johnson lined up as a wingback on the right side. He went out into the flat about 5 yards and then turned back in over the middle. The ball was drilled right into his chest.
Boy, and it's not easy to catch the way Elway steps up on that ball.
That ball must have been going about 90 miles an hour.
Now the ball is at the 27 and a first down. Broncos from our right to our left, tied in overtime with the Raiders. Here they give to Dorsett. Inside, outside, inside, and only about a yard. He tried to hit that right tackle spot and then bounce outside. Nothing there. Came back in, and he met Stacy Turan head up. But he did gain a yard and a half. We'll call it 1 yard.
Good team defense there by the Raiders. You mentioned Stacy Turan, who's really played very well tonight. Come a couple times on some nice blitzes. Stayed at home, wasn't fooled on an earlier outside play. Turan has played well.
It is 2nd down and 9 yards to go. Elway lines up in the shotgun. Takes a good snap, and he's back to throw. He looks, and he throws over the middle, and incomplete. That was not a very good toss to the tight end, Clarence Kay. Clarence Kay just got back to work after some injuries.
He certainly had Kay open. Lined up at tight end on the right side, ran up about 15 yards and crossed over the middle. John Elway drilled the ball a little bit high, and when John is off, he seems to throw the ball high rather than low.
It will be 3rd down and 9. From the 29-yard line. We played 5 minutes plus of overtime. Elway to throw. Steps up. He is on the run. Hit as he throws. It is incomplete. And broken up on a fine defensive play by the cornerback, Dennis Price, and the Broncos will punt.
Dennis Price was burned early in the game, but after that, he has played magnificently.
I wonder if the Raiders will come after this punt. If they don't, they might very well be pinned way back in their own territory.
Well, Horan's been punting beautifully, but anytime you have a guy like Tim Brown back there, you want to give him a chance.
We'll see what happens as Horan will punt from about his 20-yard line. The snap from center is good. The left-footed kicker thumps it. Good kick. It drives Brown back to the 24-yard line. Returns to the 30. Flags go down, and Brown is in the clear. Only the punter can stop him. He's going to score, but a flag is down. Brown's in the end zone, but apparently the penalty is going to be against the Raiders.
Right in front of the Raider bench, Jack.
Well, Brown thought he had the winning score on that punt return, but the Raiders knew otherwise when that flag came down.
I don't think the clip really helped him, and I think it was a clip on the Raiders because he was going to outrun the defender anyway.
47-yard kick, a 76-yard return by Brown, nullified by a penalty. Now the officials talk it over before marking the ball back. The flag was thrown at about the 35-yard line of Los Angeles. Imagine the thrill that Brown had for a moment. He thought he had done it. He is something to behold, isn't he?
You know what he does so well? First of all, he's got great vision, and all he needs is maybe it's one block, and then he takes the ball right upfield. He doesn't dance around in the hole at all.
Apparently, this is not cut and dried. A flag was thrown at about the 35, but the officials are not marking it off with alacrity. They have need for a discussion.
Low block, on return, number 44, penalized from the spot of the foul.
From the spot of the foul against Stephon Adams. So instead of the winning touchdown return on a punt. The penalty is going to set the ball down.
And Jack, I had a chance to review it on our monitor up here on the replay, and it was a good call. Stephon Adams did go low, and on any change of possession, you're not allowed to block someone below the waist, and that's what Adams did.
So the Raiders have 80 yards to travel. We played 6 minutes and 40 seconds in overtime. Because of the length of tonight's game, we'll not be able to take any phone calls on NFL Talk when this one is over. Christensen in motion, sets up on the left side. Schrader on first down. Back to throw. Four-man rush. He throws long down the left sideline. A battle for that one. And broken up. At the last moment, intended for Willie Gault. Strong defensive play by Jeremiah Castile.
This has been fun to watch. Jeremiah Castile and Willie Gault have been going at one another all night long. That is the 6th deep pass that Gault has tried to go by Jeremiah Castile on. He lined up on the left side of the formation, just a fly pattern right down the left. Castile is not fooled, almost made the interception, and knocks the ball away from Gault.
And they take Gault out and put in Tim Brown, and Castile has got to be huffing and puffing. 2nd and 10. Allen in the backfield with Steve Smith. Christensen, the tight end, on the right side. Here's a toss to Marcus Allen. He's across the 25 to the 27. That'll make it 3rd and 3. It's the second time the Raiders have had the ball. Rulon Jones, Rick Dennison made the tackle.
3rd and 3 here for the Raiders. They've had trouble the last 2 times on 3rd and 3. They tried to get the ball to Christensen the last 2 times, but unable to do so.
Most teams possess a good, crisp 3rd and 3 play, don't they?
Yeah, and for the guy like Christensen, you think the Raiders would.
Christensen lines up on the left side. Under center is Schrader. He fakes the draw, and he's back to throw. Needs 3 for a first down. It is incomplete. Knocked down. Knocked down by Freddie Gilbert. Now the Raiders will have to punt, and the Broncos will get the ball for the 3rd time in overtime.
Freddie Gilbert, all 6'4" and 275 pounds of him. He did a marvelous job of fighting off a block, rolling to his right, and when Schrader took a long time to throw the pass, he jumped up and knocked the ball down. Good play by Freddie Gilbert.
What was Schrader trying to do?
He was trying to first dump the ball off to Steve Smith in the flat. That's the pass they scored 2 touchdowns on, but he wasn't open.
Here's a high punt. And waiting to take it is Natil at the 25, and he returns it across the 30 to the 31-yard line. So the Broncos are at their 31. 48-yard kick, 6-yard return. They mark it at the 32. 8:11 remaining in overtime. We're tied 27-27.
Anytime you go into sudden death and you have to punt the ball away, you're dying because you figure you're never going to see the ball again. Happened twice. It's the third.
They haven't tried.
Well, one of the things that they like to do in these situations is that because their wide receivers, Vance Johnson and Ricky Natil, although they're small, they're very good at running away from defenders. They're not necessarily good running hook routes and those kinds of things. But if you get them on crossing routes, even if it's only 8 or 10-yard pass, if they catch that ball on the move, they have a chance of making a big play.
Boy, we've seen some good punting here tonight. Gossett has punted 9 times and 44.9 average. Ran 5 punts, a 57-yard plus average. It flies in this Denver air. 75,964 on hand. They sold 76,180 tickets. Ball rests at the Bronco 32. We're tied thanks to the field goal by Chris Barr with only seconds remaining in regulation. And John Elway brings him out. Dorsett takes a toss left, turns the corner, upfield near the 40-yard line, got about 8 yards.
plenty of time with 8 minutes remaining here. The Broncos have 2 timeouts, which are allotted in overtime. Think about moving the chain, getting your field goal kicker perhaps in the position to score. He's long a 51 this year. Don't necessarily have to do it all by the pass.
Each team, by the way, here's a timeout call, and I think it's called by the officials. It's an injury timeout. And one of the Raider players, Jerry Robinson, is going to have to leave the field for at least one play. Each team has 2 timeouts remaining here in overtime. So Jerry Robinson off the field. And they use the extra defensive backs for the Raiders.
We have not seen much of Denver's tight end much. Elway has not gotten the ball to the tight end. Ordinarily, that's featured. Orson Mobley caught 4 balls last week, and Clarence Case, coming back from an injury, has only had 1 ball thrown his way.
McKenzie is in the lineup in the inside linebacker spot. Outside left being played by Lyndon King. 2nd and 2 Broncos from their own 40. Here is a reverse to Dorsett, running right, gets a block and a first down. He fumbled the ball, but the ball is down, and the Broncos retain possession at the 47 on the reverse by Dorsett.
Dorsett lined up at the left wing position. Elway faked the ball inside, and Dorsett came from the left side all the way around to the right on a little reverse, followed the block of Steve Sewell, and picked up the first down, fumbled after he hit the ground.
Orson Mobley, the tight end, brings in a new play. The ball rests at the Denver 47. We're tied 27 all in overtime. And Elway on first down. Here's the ball to Dorsett again, running right, gets outside, waits for his blocks. He comes to midfield, and he got 3 or 4. Tackle by Jerry Robinson, who went back into the lineup.
In the first half, Denver had great success running the ball to the right side, their right side. The defense is left. It got away from that, but on this drive, they've come back with 2 straight plays to the right side and picked up big yardage.
2nd and 6 now after that 4-yard pickup. Clock continues to run. 6:15 left in overtime. And the ball is at the 49 of the Raiders. 2nd and 6, Elway. Massey in motion. A delay play to Dorsett. Bounces inside, outside, and tackled from behind. He was tackled by Rod Martin, the linebacker, and that play hurt. I would imagine that Dorsett's a little bit weary now.
Well, he has carried the ball 32 times tonight for 120 yards. You would expect that, and I don't think, looks like, is that Rod Martin? No, it's Stacy Turan.
Turan, who is slow getting up.
Boy, they cannot afford, the Raiders cannot afford another injury in the secondary. Coming into this game, their #1 draft pick, Terry McDaniel, was hurt and not playing out for the year. Van McElroy, their starting free safety, has been out, and Lionel Washington also out.
Well, we have a timeout. We're tied 27 all. 3rd and 11 confronts the Broncos. Let's pause for this word.
Alpha 6, this is Alpha 1. This is Alpha 6. We did it again. We captured Bravo's command post.
2nd day in a row. You guys had a pretty good weekend.
Get a change of pace without changing your lifestyle. Join the Army Reserve. After training, you usually serve 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year. But the experience lasts a lifetime. Talk to your Army Reserve recruiter.
All that you can be, find your future in the Army Reserve.
Paid for by the Army Reserve. A bop a do bud bud, a do bud bud, a bop a do bud bud. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A bop a do bud bud, a do bud bud, a bop a do bud bud.
On those dancing shoes, the rhythm and blues, tell a friend or two, this buzz for you. Keep on coming through, 'cause you really make it work, yeah. This buzz for you is fun.
And how
Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. This ball's for you.
3rd and 11 Broncos. Stacy Turan had to be helped off the field. Back to throw is Elway. Looks. He's rushed. He avoids a tackle. He's on the move. Stops and looks to throw. He gets away from another man. He's in heavy trouble. Gets a block. Throws the ball. Intercepted at midfield by the Raiders. And the ball is taken back to the 36 of Denver. Sepp Lee just into the game in place of Stacy Turan. Stepped in front of the ball and returned the ball down to the Bronco 31. Another interception against Elway is 4th of the night.
John Elway made like Fran Tarkenton there, who was scrambling all over the field, but he really wishes he had that ball back because he should never have thrown it. He started out with some early protection, but good coverage prevented him from throwing the ball downfield on 3rd and long. Then he danced around, made a few guys miss, rolled to his left, couldn't find anybody, rolled back to his right, all the way across field, threw the ball off balance right into the hands of number 40, Sepp Lee.
And now 1 first down, and the Raiders would have a chance to kick the winning field goal here in overtime. Under center is Schrader. He gives the ball to Marcus Allen, running left, turns upfield, and goes down to the 27. He picked up 4 yards. 1 first down for the Raiders, and the Broncos are in trouble.
And this is the type of game, if the Raiders could win this thing and they're moving into position to at least attempt a field goal, this could be kind of one of those turning points for a season. They're struggling at 1 and 2, but they've got a new quarterback now, and perhaps this could be a launching pad for them.
If the Broncos lose, they'll be 1 and 3 with 2 of the losses at home. The ball is at the 27. 2nd down and 5. They're going to continue to try to punch it out with Allen and Smith in the backfield. Yes, it's Smith this time following Allen. First down to the 20. A first down to the 20. Now it would be a 37-yard field goal try, but why try it now? The only thing that can bother the Raiders would be a fumble.
That's exactly right, and I'm sure Jay Schrader is telling his ball carriers as he gives him the ball from this point of the field on, is hold on to the ball with 2 hands.
27 all, and Elway is anguished by his performance this evening. 4 interceptions, and the last one was a killer. First down at the 20-yard line of the Broncos for the Raiders. Jay Schrader hands the ball to Smith, follows Allen, gets a couple. He's to the 18. And that was a first down run. We're down to 3:35 in overtime. Each team 2 timeouts remaining, but that's neither here nor there. The ball is at the 18, 2nd and 8.
And I'm sure Mike Shanahan knows, has spoken with his kicker, Chris Barr, and asked him where he wants the ball finally placed before the kick comes on. Do you want it on the left hash, the right hash? Do you want the ball in the middle of the field to give him the best opportunity?
2nd down and 8 for the Raiders. They hang on to the ball. They'll have a chance to win it. It's at the 18 now. Here is a give to Marcus Allen. Finds a little hole and goes to the 16 on the 2nd down run.
And here comes Chris Barr right now.
A little scuffle breaks out. It's 3rd down, and what you don't want to risk here, if you're the Raiders, is a penalty of some sort that's going to take you further away from those goalposts. So Barr, who kicked the field goal with 8 seconds remaining of 45 yards, will try a winner here. We will stay with our NFL talk until 12:30 in the morning Eastern time, so we will have time after all for your phone calls on 1-800-NFL-TALK. The ball is at the 25. It's a 35-yard attempt. The punter, Gossett, will hold it. There's the snap. It's good. There's the kick. It's good. And the Raiders win this one. 30-27 in overtime. Barr tied it. Barr won it. Elway lost it.
A terrific comeback for the Raiders, and I think this could be a start of something big for them. And this is, again, the kind of game you need to get over the hump on. Schrader played very, very well in the second half, and for the Broncos, Elway's going to have to find a way to play a lot better because he has struggled all 3 games.
I wonder what possessed him on that last scramble not to throw the ball away.
You know, Jack, I think he has such great confidence in his arm. He just expects something good to happen when he puts the ball in the air, and that time it didn't.
Chris Barr tied it with 8 seconds left and wins it with 2:25 remaining in overtime. Tonight, the Transamerica Power Player of the Year of the game is Chris Barr with those 2 field goals. Every week we select the Transamerica Power Player of the game. Transamerica, or the power of the pyramid, is working for you. It's a tough choice tonight with regard to Tony Dorsett surpassing Jim Brown's rushing yardage and the terrific punting of Mike Horan, the comeback effort of the Raiders and Jay Schrader. He never crumbled, did he?
He really didn't. You know, he fought through a tough first half, did not play very well, but in the second half, they made the adjustments. He threw the ball downfield, and he's getting more and more comfortable in that Raider system. He's going to have some big plays before the year's out with the Raiders.
Once again, the final score in tonight's game in overtime. Away from him in the Olympics. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Well, it was really 2 different games, I thought. The Broncos won the first half, and the Raiders won the second half and the overtime, the most important part of all.
You don't see that many games last that long into overtime. There were only 2:25 remaining when Chris Barr kicked the field goal. The quarterback figures. Schrader, 13 out of 35 after a terrible start. 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, an early interception. And Elway,
14 of 28, 218 yards, 1 touchdown, and 4 interceptions. The last one really led to the winning field goal by Chris Barr.
You folks wouldn't believe the pass that went right into the hands of Zepp Lee, who was standing at midfield, and he returned the ball down to the Denver. Took it down to the 16 and kicked the field goal. Lee is in his 3rd year, and that ball was pitched right to him by Elway, who was on a scramble and did have a chance to throw it away along the sideline without any penalty.
Well, absolutely. It happened twice to him tonight. 2 of John's interceptions really should have been balls that were thrown away. There's an old adage in football, never late down the middle. That's what happened to him twice.
Where did Zepp Lee go to college and play football?
Another Southern Cal player. Thank you for reminding me of that.
And the final 30-27 in favor of the Raiders. And the Raiders now get right into the chase in the AFC Western Division with a record of 2-2, the same as San Diego and Seattle. Kansas City is 1-3, and so are the Denver Broncos, and they've lost 2 games here at home.
Well, it really is a disappointing start for the Broncos because they've been in the Super Bowl. They're the defending AFC champions. And you have to ask, what's wrong? Offensively tonight, it's been John Elway. The offensive line, I thought, played much better. But John has just not played well these first 4 games, whether it's Mike Shanahan being gone, whether he's got an injury problem, or whether he's just having an off year, you can't say. But he's going to have to play a lot better if Denver's going to rebound.
He has good enough wide receivers.
He's got some excellent wide receivers. His tight ends are getting healthy again.
Didn't make much use of the tight ends tonight.
No, tight ends did not catch a ball. I think he only threw 2 passes to him. They didn't catch one.
Nor did they employ Steve Sewell as frequently as they used to.
You know, they had the one little shuffle pass for Sewell for a big play, but never came back to it.
The final was 30-27 Raiders. Let's pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS Radio Network.
We're your source in Central Texas for all your sports news, including every Longhorn football, basketball, and baseball game, exclusively on News Talk 590 KLBJ AM Austin.
While 75,000 plus were enjoying the game, at least until the very end when the Denver fans were disappointed, Mr. Pete Arbogast is standing by in Seoul, Korea with the latest on a hot story. Pete?
Well, Ben Johnson is the hot story. Of course, he's been removed from the Olympic Games by the IOC after failing a drug test. He was found to have steroids in his system, Jack, and he has left the country now on his way back to Canada. He left his medal behind. It definitely goes to Carl Lewis. Linford Christie of England gets the silver, and Calvin Smith of the United States moves up into the bronze. Lewis says he'll comment a little bit later on. Of course, he's got the 200 to come. He can still duplicate his feat in 1984, 4 gold medals. He's now become the first man in history to win 2 Olympic golds in the 100 and the long jump, and he'll go now for the 200 and the men's sprint relay. The other story, the women's basketball team blasting the Soviet Union 102-88, so the U.S. will play Yugoslavia in the finals in a couple of days. The men's team play the Soviet tomorrow. The first... Yes, I can.
Yeah, Pete, why is it? I'm sure people are asking the question everywhere. Perhaps you know the answer or have heard some semblance of an answer as to why the athletes will challenge this procedure knowing full well what the outcome is going to be.
That's just the point. They aren't sure about what the outcome's going to be. The athletes are so tricky about this. They even receive... We talked to Edwin Moses in the hallway here at the press center not too long ago, and he said that he's received in the mail anonymous instructions on how to beat drug tests. So they can be beaten. You know exactly what to do, and these athletes think they can get away with it. And this particular steroid that was found in Johnson's urine sample was previously believed undetectable in testing. So the testers are getting a little trickier, too.
Pete, that's a shame because it takes away one of the more remarkable moments in sports when he ran that 100 meters in such a brilliant fashion with a world record time.
Yeah, a world record there, and 2 Bulgarian weightlifters have been stripped of their gold medals after setting world records also. So this is almost becoming the steroid Olympics, unfortunately, and it's going to have to stop.
But at least the athletes who are playing it straight realize now that they are not at a disadvantage, and that's helpful also.
That's right, and generally speaking, most of the American athletes have been saying, by and large, that they know that they're going to be caught at home. They don't even bother because they can't even get to the Olympics anymore without being tested, and so they don't bother doing it.
What time of day is it in Seoul, Korea at the moment?
2:03 on Tuesday afternoon, so we can tell you all the lottery numbers if you want. We know them already.
And you can tell your friends over there that the Los Angeles Raiders defeated the Broncos in overtime 30-27.
Unbelievable. We were listening at halftime, 24-0, and we shut it off.
Ah, thanks a lot. Hey, Pete, thanks very much for the report.
Okay.
Peter Arbogast in Seoul, Korea. 30-27 was the final here as the Raiders came from behind and tied it with 8 seconds left and won it in overtime. We'll be back in just a moment.
Many ingredients are...
Don't go away. We're still hoping to make connections with some of the winners, the Raiders, of course, and we'll interview some of those folks and chat with them. Meanwhile, we have a phone call here on NFL Talk from Kansas City, Missouri. Go right ahead, please. Hello. Are you there?
Yes, I'd like to know what happened with the Broncos just before halftime when they had a chance to kick a field goal or even score a touchdown, but they didn't beat the clock.
Okay, fine, sir. We talked about that at length, but it was rather disjointed because it was after the intermission. And we thought at that time, Pat Haden, and I think maybe we were talking lately, that they would be looking back at that moment and wondering about the 3 points they passed up, but we can't explain it.
Well, absolutely. At the time, I thought they had 1 timeout remaining. I thought John Elway had called a timeout, but what apparently had happened, the official thought they called a timeout to measure for the first down. They saw that it was a first down, and then they start the clock immediately. The 10 seconds ran out when they still had the 1 timeout remaining.
Funny thing, you had just remarked they have time to run another play, that is, throw the ball or run, and then use the timeout, and then get the field goal if they didn't score a touchdown on that play. But the clock ran down, and I was told here that the officials went to the bench and told the Broncos, you have 1 timeout remaining. They started the clock, and the Broncos let the clock run down. It was totally bewildering.
Well, Jack, it's one of the things at quarterback, one of the very first things you learn, you spend some time on in training camp when you start every training camp, is how the clock is stopped and started under what circumstances. And after they measure for a first down, it's stopped while they measure for a first down. But after the measurement, the clock will then start again. That's poor management by the Denver Broncos.
Our producer spelled it wrong, but we're going to go to Champaign, Illinois, and take a phone call now. Go right ahead, please.
Good evening. How are you two doing?
Very well. How are you doing?
Oh, fine. I'm great. I'll quickly address my 2 questions or comments. First of all, Randy, you've seen a lot of games, but have you seen a game tonight where one team scores 24 points consecutively in the first half, and their opponent comes back with 24, and they're tied going into overtime, regulation, and, of course, the Raiders win it? And my next question is, with Steve Smith, what kind of player do you think he is, and what kind of game you thought he had tonight? And my comment, I just wanted to say I enjoyed listening to you and Pat describe the great football action on CBS Radio Network tonight. I'm a big sports fanatic.
Good. Thank you very much, sir.
Goodbye now.
Appreciate that. I don't know a heck of a lot about Steve Smith, to tell you the truth. I've been following the NFC primarily. We haven't seen the Raiders very often, and Smith hasn't been in the forefront as he was here tonight.
Well, he's in his second year, Steve Smith is, and he's 225 pounds. He's 6'1". Only carried the ball 6 times coming in tonight's game, but averaged nearly 6 yards a carry. But he has been featured as a receiver. And the thing the Raiders do, if you're going to give the ball as much as they do to Marcus Allen, and you're going to fake it to all Marcus Allen ultimately, and then you're going to dump the ball off to Steve Smith. He's got terrific hands, as we saw tonight.
Yeah, there was a middle screen thrown to him, and we remarked that, most fullbacks don't have that sort of hands, but he bobbled it down around the knees. It was a rather poor throw by Schrader, but he pulled it in and he gained some good yards. Before tonight's game, he had caught 4 for a touchdown, had 1 touchdown, and tonight he caught 2, and he's tough to tackle.
He really is. After he catches, that's when the adventure starts, is after he catches the ball. He's got very, very soft hands, as you mentioned, Jack. And then he picked up a couple of nice blocks, and he saw the field, saw where the blockers were going to come, and scooted in the end zone twice on the same play.
And with regard to a remarkable turnabout, I really can't recall anything at my fingertips that would compare with this game. Well, the way it went with the Raiders being shut out in the first half, and they looked awful.
If you can't recall it, there must not have been one.
I'm not really good at recalling those things, but I'm sure that some of the folks that pick your buffs will go into the archives and come up with a comparable game, but I can't come up with one right now.
Well, you can't lose your steam when you're ahead 24-0.
Well, you're a Rhodes Scholar. How do you pronounce that town in Minnesota?
Edina. How's that?
Do we have somebody here from Edina, Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering if Bo Jackson is going to get to play this year or not.
Yeah, and that's a strange situation. Jackson had a heck of a baseball season. It's been a while since I've seen him play baseball. He ended up very strongly, and heretofore, I was under the impression that he had a distinct weakness, and that is that he just couldn't get around on the real good fastball, and I've seen a lot of people throw the ball by him, but that was before this year. This year he finished very, very strongly, and I'm aware that he is a terrific worker. People tell me he's the first guy out in the morning, the last guy off the field at night, but it's really strange that he's not with the Raiders right at the moment, so it behooves them to have, at least a 500 record by the time he joins them.
Well, I understand what Bo Jackson's plans will be. He's going to take a week off or 10 days off after baseball season, and then he's going to be right back in El Segundo practicing with the Raiders. And obviously, between him and Marcus Allen and some of the other talented people they have at wide receiver, I think the Raiders have as much offensive talent in the skilled position as anybody in the NFL.
How did you think Schrader fit in tonight?
I think he fit in more comfortably in the second half. He struggled early in the first half, clearly. They ran him. He carried 5 times, all on quarterback draws tonight, but I think he's going to come on.
We've been singing the praises here during the game and after the game of Steve Smith, the Raiders fullback, and he is with us down in the locker room. And Steve, this is Jack Buck with Pat Haden. Congratulations on a wonderful game tonight.
Thanks a lot. It meant a lot to me and the team. I think getting the season off on the right foot now. We're atop the AFC West, and it's a long season, but it feels a lot better than last year.
Looking at your background, Penn State, you learn some terrific habits when you play there, don't you?
Yeah, well, Joe Paterno's a great coach. He teaches you a lot about football and a lot about life through football.
Steve, it looked like the same pass pattern that you caught for touchdowns, one in the right flat and one in the left. Was it the same play?
It was the same play out of different formation. In the first play, I was in a far formation. The second, I was in an I. So it was the same play, but just different formations.
Steve, what was the attitude at halftime when you went in blanked? I bet it was terrible.
Yeah, we felt pretty bad. It was really humiliating, and we just wanted to come out swinging in the second half, and luckily we did.
One big item was the fumble recovery on the kickoff return. That threw you right back into it, didn't it?
Yeah, well, the momentum, we felt the momentum sway our way, and once we had it, we wasn't going to let it go.
Steve, how were you impressed with Jay Schrader's performance?
I thought Jay had a really good game. He's only been here for 2 weeks, and offense is really complicated. And I think that he's getting a hold of it pretty well.
If you were the quarterback, what would you need, Steve? About a month learning the system?
At least. at least we all started way back in minicamp, and it's still things to pop up that we're not sure about.
That was a nasty little pass he threw to you on that middle screen, which was a key play in this contest.
Yeah, well, you got the ball there.
You've got the good hands, though, apparently.
Well, I try hard.
Yeah, a lot of guys try to turn around and go before they finish catching that ball.
Yeah, but that's the problem. But you can't go anywhere until you get the ball first.
One other thing, Steve, and we appreciate you joining us here. I wonder if football fans appreciate the blocking ability of Marcus Allen. He did some for you tonight, didn't he?
Yeah, Marcus Allen is the greatest all-around player I've ever seen in my life. He can do it all. Block, catch, run. He's a phenomenal athlete.
And he's probably saying the same thing about you because you did block very well for him.
Yeah, I try hard.
Steve, what about Mike Shanahan at halftime? What was his words to you guys?
Well, it wasn't much to say. Everybody knows the position we were in. We were playing like, crap, pretty much. And
that's a good word.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. And then what did he say?
Well, he just said, look, nothing can be said. You just have to go out and do it. And everybody just looked at each other. We went out and played as a team and got the job done.
Now a tough opponent next Sunday in Cincinnati, but I bet you feel better about it now with this win under your belt.
Yeah, I think it's a big boost of confidence for us, and now we don't have to talk about the talent we have. We know we can go out and win.
After a long, tough night, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Now, Steve Smith, he's in his third year out of Penn State. He caught 2 touchdown passes this evening and did some good running in overtime. Still to come, more calls and a visit again to the Raiders locker room. The final score, the Raiders won it in overtime, 30-27 over the Broncos. And let's pause for this word.
You wouldn't actually throw away your money, but if you throw away your old scrap metal, that's exactly what you're doing. At Commercial Metals, you can bring in your old cans, radiators, automobiles, copper, and brass, and receive cash. It's good for the environment, and it's good for your pocketbook. While you're there, check out Commercial Metals' selection of new and used steel. They're open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and located at 710 Industrial Boulevard, just 2 blocks southwest of Ben White and I-35. Call Commercial Metals, 442-2384. That's 442-2384.
You can put the big squeeze on Leif Johnson Ford during the final days of the store-wide sell-down going on right now. Choose from a great selection of 88 Ford Thunderbirds, fully loaded with AM/FM stereo with cassette, cruise, power lock group, tilt steering, power windows, automatic transmission, plus much, much more, and save over $3,500. You pay only $12,777 or save over $1,500 on a 1989 Leif Johnson Aerostar with high-capacity dual air conditioning and automatic transmission, and pay only $12,999. Put the big squeeze on Leif Johnson Ford, airport at Koenig, just south of Highland Mall.
Just say when you wanna go, when you wanna fly. Just say when. Let Southwest take you to the sky. Just say when. By now you know we've got more flies. We're Southwest Airlines. Just say when.
Get away for some fun this fall with new fun fares. They start for as little as $19 one way, so call today.
Atop 9,000 feet of solid ice in the middle of the Antarctic sits a tiny cluster of buildings. Inside is a group of scientists, and with them is a fax machine. On the machine is the name Murata. This fax is the only way to quickly move graphs, charts, and data back and forth to headquarters in Cambridge, England. You'll find us in less hostile environments all over the world, but few places say as much about fax machines from Murata.
30-27, the final score. Pat Haden is alongside. Pat, we'd have heard coming in here tonight that Dan Reeves had been quite testy during the week. If he was testy then, what's he now?
Well, particularly when you're up 24-0, I tell you, it's going to be a tough week of practice, I'm sure.
Jay Schrader is with us. Jay Schrader, this is Jack Buck with Pat Haden. We had the pleasure of saying hello before the game. Congratulations on the good win.
Thank you very much, Jack. It's fun to play in anytime you get in a game like that. We just didn't make any plays in the first half. Now we came back and everybody took a little gut check and went after it in the second half, and we made some plays and ended up beating a pretty good football team.
Bad start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bad start. We just couldn't get anything going all the way around, and we just relaxed. We came in at halftime. We told everybody, hey, we're not out of this thing. We can come back, and we did. We were very fortunate.
Jay, if you had an antsy coach, some might have gone to the other quarterback, and then you learn nothing, you get nowhere, but I bet you're appreciative of the fact that the coach stayed with you.
Well, I definitely am. You know, if I would have looked at the way I was playing the first half, I struggled. There's no question about it. But I've never been one to be a real quarterback. I've always had my ups and downs, and some way, somehow, we find a way to come back and get into football games. And I was just very fortunate that everybody took it upon themselves to come back and make some big plays.
Well, Jay, you made all the big plays in the second half. You seemed like a lot different player in the second half, much more confident. You must have been very pleased with your performance in the second half.
I really was. I relaxed a little bit in the second half and realized I didn't have to do it all by myself. And, you know, everybody took it upon themselves. Steve Smith came up with some fantastic plays, turned some little short passes into some real big plays and got the momentum switched. And that was a big plus for everybody. Our defense stuffed them in the second half. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Mr. Schrader, you're too strong. How in the world do you overthrow Willie Galt like that?
I think I even surprised Willie on that one a couple of times, and you know, then I gave a shot to Timmy Brown. But I'll tell you what, as long as I'm overthrowing him, I'd rather overthrow him than underthrow him.
But the day will come when the two of you will be clicking, and won't that be fun?
Well, that will be fun. You know, it's nice to come back on the sidelines. You see everybody over there, and they look at you and they go, hey, you just got to relax and just throw it to them. So it was interesting, but you know, I consider myself to have a fairly strong arm, and I'm going to throw it out there, and especially when I get pumped up in a game.
Jay, you have immense talent, obviously, but the thing that I was most impressed, I think, tonight about with yourself was you never seemed to let it affect you. You stayed on an even keel. Obviously, things didn't go particularly well in the first half, but it didn't really seem to bother you, and you were able to shake it off. And I think I've seen all quarterbacks kind of go through those types of games and moments. But is that kind of your temperament, even keeled?
It really is. I've been through a lot of things in the last 5 years here, and then playing minor league baseball. You can't let everything bother you. If you let it bother you, you have no chance of regrouping. You know, what's over and done with, you can't worry about. And all you got to do is just go on to the next play and try to make it work.
You know, you're right, Jay. Football, you know, it's a one-shot thing, 60 minutes once a week, and you can get your topper down very quickly. But you learn lessons in baseball because you play every day, that what's gone is gone.
That's exactly right. You can't worry about yesterday. You just have to come out and worry about tomorrow. And, you know, the next play, if you get a chance at running it, you just have to try to do it the best you can.
How do you like being located back in Los Angeles?
I really enjoy it. It's coming back home for myself and my family, and we're looking forward to getting settled in and getting everything down so we can just relax and have a good time out here.
Jay, I know you follow the UCLA Bruins as I follow the Trojans. Have you seen Troy Aikman play?
I have definitely seen Troy play. It's hard to miss him. The guy's played fantastic for 2 years for UCLA, and you know, he's got a phenomenal future in this game. And just as long as, you know, he stays healthy, and I wish him the best of luck, because you know, once he gets into this league, he's proven that he can make some big plays, and that's what it's all about.
Best of luck to you, and enjoy the trip home.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jay.
Jay Schrader, he got hot in the second half, and the Raiders won the game by 3, and we go to Muncie, Indiana for a caller on NFL Talk. Good evening.
Hello, Jack and Pat.
How are you, sir?
I want to congratulate you on a good broadcast. My TV sound was out, and I watched the game and listened to your broadcast, and
well, good.
Real enjoyable.
They weren't two different games, were they? I mean, they didn't look that much different, did they?
No, it was a phenomenal comeback by the Raiders. I'd like to make 2 points. I'd like to know your thoughts on this first. I think my vote for the most valuable player in the game was Chris Barr. He came in and kicked the tying field goal in the clutch, and then, of course, in the overtime kicked his field goal to win it. And I also like to make a point for field goal kickers in the NFL. On Sunday, there was 2 games where 2 field goal kickers kicked 5 field goals, the Indianapolis game and the Buffalo game. And the case in point, if you look at Buffalo, take away Scott Norwood's field goals, and Buffalo would be 0-4 instead of 4-0.
Okay, and as a part of the answer to your question, we're going to go to Chris Barr in the Raiders dressing room. Chris, this is Jack Buck with Pat Haden. Congratulations on a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much.
You got that chance with 8 seconds left, and then you got a chance in overtime, and you didn't miss. And I noticed that your previous record was 2 for 6, so you got to feel a lot better.
Yeah, I've been struggling early in the year, and I've struggled almost every beginning of the season my whole career, so a game like this really helps.
By the way, and before we forget, your brother's perking along too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's kicking very well. He had the knee injury a couple of years ago, but he's kicking well for them. And kicking's just a confidence thing at times, and he's on a roll. And I heard you talking about Scott Norwood. He's certainly on a roll.
Chris, this is Pat Haden. When you're struggling like you said you were, what goes through your mind when you're going out to kick a winning field goal?
Well, tonight I was actually pretty good. I was pretty blank, and for me that's good when I walk out on the field. All week long, though, I knew that they were looking at other people, and it tends to motivate you a little bit.
You know, Chris, is there a reason why some guys, some kickers start slowly? You mentioned that's happened to you for a couple of years.
I'm not really sure, and I can't explain it with me. The first few games I was suffering from a little lack of confidence, but I have no idea. It usually takes a game with a few field goals to get people going.
I noticed the crispness with regard to the snap. That's Charlie Hanna, right?
No, it's Trey Junkin. Charlie
was it
is
Junkin?
the backup. Yeah, Trey Junkin, backup tight end, is doing the snap.
And Gossett putting the ball down. They did it in a blink, didn't they?
They're doing a heck of a job, and it gets down so quick. You see the ball for quite a long time.
Chris, if you'll stay tuned here, here's the fun we had with your field goal that tied the game with 8 seconds left. You'll need a good snap from Charlie Hanna. The ball will be held by the punter, Gossett. It's a 45-yard field goal trying to tie it. The kick has gotten away. It looks like it might be good. It is. With 4 seconds left in the game, Chris Barr pumps one 45 yards, and we are 27-27. And I shot myself down there, Chris. It was Trey Junkin, and he did a good job, didn't he?
Very good job. He's doing a good job all year.
Were you talking along the sideline about with the coach about when you wanted to go in overtime and try it? Not now, let me do it now, or what?
Well, when we got down to the 20 with the first down there and we'd run the play down to about the 18, actually I went up right there and said, let's kick it now. And for some reason they wanted to run one more play, which is obviously their prerogative, but we kicked it on 3rd down, so in case something went wrong, we had a chance to kick it again.
Yeah, you get a procedure call or a holding call, and then it's tougher business, isn't it?
Right.
Chris, do you ever talk to Mike Shanahan, your head coach, and say, hey, in this situation, I want the ball on the left hash or the right or middle of the field?
Well, actually, he asked me, we hadn't talked about it before, and we should have, but he asked me right there in 2nd down where did I want it, and I said the left hash, which is where it was at the time, so I'm just more comfortable from there. You see the goalpost a little bit better.
Well, a couple of Penn Staters, Chris Barr and Steve Smith, were shining tonight. Nice going, Chris, and thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jack.
Thank you. That was Chris Barr. We heard from Steve Smith as well, and we heard from Jay Schrader here on NFL Talk. The final was 30-27 in overtime, with the Raiders winning the game after trailing 24-0 at the half. We'll be back in just a moment.
And now, Dick Cavett talks about security. According to experts, it's natural for a kid to have a toy animal or something to hug for security. I'm sure most of us did. And while most of us have outgrown hugging toy animals, we haven't outgrown our need for security. So what do we do now? According to the same experts, we could get ourselves a real animal, a pet. Psychologists say that owning a cat or dog can greatly improve your sense of well-being, especially when there's no one else around. And we've all heard stories of pets alerting their masters to fire or danger, but there's a lot to be said about the simple security of knowing that you always have someone to talk to, someone to play with, someone waiting for you at home. And what's really great is that uncritical way that they're happy just to be near you. After all, you're not the only one who likes to feel secure. The American Humane Association urges you to adopt a pet from your nearby humane shelter. Come on, don't keep your best friend waiting.
Imagine a world without trees, where violent, destructive rivers rush out of control, overflow their banks, and destroy cities, towns, and farms. Imagine a world without clear-running streams, where mud-choked rivers and streams kill fish and destroy wildlife habitat forever. Imagine a world where they're no longer a source of life, but are a powerful force of destruction. Arbor Day Foundation asks you to imagine a world with trees, conservation trees, where tree roots grip and hold the riverbanks, where beautiful trees create a welcome home for birds and wildlife, and where wooded rivers and streams make wonderful places to enjoy. A world without trees is no world for me or for you. Conservation trees make the difference. This is Eddie Albert. Write for your free Conservation Trees brochure from the National Arbor Day Foundation, Nebraska City, Nebraska.
Well, Pat Haden, you get the best of both worlds, some college football on Saturday and then a little touch of the pros on an occasional Sunday and a Monday.
Yeah, it is kind of fun. I get to go to some
Saturday and then a little touch of the pros on an occasional Sunday and a Monday.
Yeah, it is kind of fun. I get to go to some great sites across the country for big games. I've got Florida and LSU this weekend, good SEC battle.
And the atmosphere is always different in it.
Oh, it really is fun. You know, it's a little bit like this Denver crowd. I think Denver is one of the few teams in professional football where there's a real home field advantage. But every college arena is like that.
This game started at 6 o'clock local time. There was a peculiar attitude about it because of the early start, but then a big 86-yard pass play. They got turned on, but they went home turned off.
They certainly did. And for the first time, I've heard Denver fans actually boo their team and quarterback, which really did surprise me.
That's our time for tonight's NFL Talk from Mile High Stadium, Denver, Colorado. Final score again in overtime. Raiders 30 and 27 for the Broncos. Our spotter tonight, Mark Friedman. Our statistician, Ray Friedman. Our engineer, Al Rosenberg. Field assistant, Lee Frank. Our pregame halftime NFL Talk producer, Jim Hunter. Our producer, Bill Severa. Working with us at the Broadcast Center in New York, Bruce Berenson, Paula Sabatini, and Art Starr. The executive producer of CBS Radio Sports is Frank Murphy. Be sure to join us next Monday night. We bring you the action in New Orleans between the Saints and the Dallas Cowboys in the Superdome. And now for Pat Haden and Brent Musburger. This is Jack Buck saying so long for CBS Radio Sports.
When you need to know, News Talk 590, KLBJ AM, Austin.